Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. All right, so let's move on to Google's Merchant Center Next, which was announced at Google Marketing Live this week. What is that, and what do you think about it?
Well, so I did not sit through 3 hours of propaganda like you did, so thank you for taking one for the team on that front, Greg. But I did read your sort of tweet summaries as I had time, and certainly read your write-up and looked at the blog post from Google announcing this feature. It's essential. I mean, it feels to me, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but the perception is that it's sort of a e-commerce content management system almost, even though it is designed, primarily to feed AI generated ads. But that it basically is sort of a, you can create products and it will scrape information from your website. So it's a sort of an easy setup. You can do all this image manipulation, stitch images together in sort of lightweight videos, that sort of stuff. So it's sort of a very lightweight e-commerce product. Couple things stood out to me. Number one, it's a real product. Like I'm not knocking the product. I think it's like, it seems at face value to be fairly impressive and clearly has had a ton of resources devoted to it internally. And if you juxtapose that to the complete lack of investment in Google business profiles over the last 18 months, like pretty clear somebody at Mountain View was like, we're going to take these engineering and product teams and move them over here. And so I think that was the main thing that stood out to me, is just the stark juxtaposition of lots of product investment in e-commerce related stuff and complete disinvestment in business profile stuff. And then related to that, I would just say that the customer, the end user, is not entirely clear to me, like who exactly is the perfect fit customer for this, because it strikes me that the customers that have money to spend on Google Ads are relatively well-established e-commerce businesses, which are probably already using a bona fide e-commerce platform like a Shopify or a Magento or whatever, fill in the blank. And it strikes me that all of these product resources would have been much better directed to simply advertising to customers of those platforms and get them to click the integrate button, where that would be way less work for them, for the businesses, and would be a much more sustainable sort of ongoing feed of updates and that sort of thing. So the business doesn't have to make updates in two places. So kind of strikes me as like nice product, not entirely sure who it's targeting, big time signal of where Google's sort of customer priorities are, or sort of business priorities are, in terms of where they see the financial opportunity with SMBs.
Yeah, a couple of quick comments on that. So they talked about it. They released a number of blog posts kind of summarizing the different announcements that were made. And this particular one, Merchant Center Next, along with their photo studio, was grouped under the helping make small, it was a small business oriented blog post where we've got these tools. They're going to help small businesses succeed. So clearly, I think they think, what segment of the small business world they're targeting is unclear, but they clearly see this as a small business product. These listings could go into their free product listings that you get in the SERP. I mean, it's not exclusively ads, I don't think.
Yeah, but so can your Shopify integration.
Right.
Click.
But it's an on-ramp to advertising, I think, clearly. They talk about tagging, in order for, I didn't pay close attention to this, but they talked about how you have to tag your site. And this may be about GA4 and the automated ads kind of working together, blah, blah, blah. But they talk about how you had to tag your site to get sort of optimum results in some context. And I don't remember if that pertained to the images, the product images for this product. It may or may not. And then to your last point about where they see the financial opportunity, they've said on their last few earnings calls that retail is really driving is one of the primary categories driving their search revenue. And so this is obviously supportive of that and supportive of their competition with Amazon as they seek to have more products, online, offline. One thought that I had, but I don't know how this relates, is whether or not there's any kind of real-time inventory dimension to this. And I guess that entirely depends on whether any real-time inventory is displayed on the website.
And they also have this Pointy acquisition that we don't know exactly where that has been slid internally. So
I think those guys are working with I think their position now is a kind of integrator with third party systems. I think, Pointy still exists as a product. They don't really promote it that much. I don't know how widely it's being used, but I think the people who were behind Pointy, the team, is focused on kind of working with third parties to get real-time inventory into Google. I think that's where the emphasis is now. I mean, it's a shame because the Pointy product is pretty innovative.
I would argue that the Pointy product on its own and then the integration strategy is really all Google needs. That's all they should be focused on. But
right, and that's what I spoke to Bill Reddy, who used to be the head of commerce for Google before he went to Pinterest. I spoke to him a year ago ahead of this very event at a meet and greet at a restaurant in San Francisco. And he was talking about their online, offline product strategy and how they, their third party integrations. And that was really a focus of, of their efforts was to try and work with lots of third parties to bring scale to the real-time inventory proposition. So I don't know. They've had a personnel change. I don't know if the strategy has changed at all.
I think it's just Google wanting as much orthogonal data as they can get and trying to engage businesses however they can be engaged. I think that it makes sense from a technical point of view, what you say, David, about the integration on one side and Pointy on the other. But I've seen this with images for years, and ultimately Google developed an AI system to understand these images rather than waiting for image tags, so alt tags, which never get put on the sites, despite how easy it is. And I think it's something similar here. They want as many products as they can get, however they can get them. And some percentage of businesses will do this, some will integrate, some will do Pointy, and it will give them maybe 40 or 50% of the available product mix. And with that, they think, they will continue their local push on products and their push on products in general. And
so if their ceiling is 40 to 50% with that mix of three sources, Mike, I guess
I pulled that number out of my arse.
No, I know. And I'm just going to throw it back in your face here. I would just say that this release might get them 1% of that 50%. I just don't see it as, I just see that the customer target just seems very poor and ill-defined to me. But
you'd think they would have tested it with a bunch of people before.
I'm sure that they got awesome feedback from SMBs who they tested it with, saying, yeah, this is really, really cool. I would totally use this. But did they test that with Shopify customers and say, would you rather manage things in two places or would you rather have a really easy integration?
Clearly the answer is.
So I think all these products, having done a handful of product research projects in the past, like it really depends on the questions you ask in terms of what answers you get. So.
I hear you.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at earmedia.co. We'll see you next week.